I'm indigo and violet and blue. I'm so in love with you. And everything you ever want is here. You're giving up another one too dear.
Look, in real life, I understand that nobody wants to do stuff before they get to do stuff, but Death Stranding is a game where you need to do stuff before you do stuff so that the stuff you do gets done. Plus, it's a game by Kojima. Kojima can make a game about filing your taxes under dual citizenship, and it would probably be amazing. It might win Game of the Year. It would end the competition once and for all. I'm telling you, Jeff Keighley would quit his job as the world's leading video game presenter and become a hot dog vendor on Shadow Moses Island. What I love about Death Stranding and its sequel is that it finally kind of properly gamified the open world format, in my opinion. What I mean by that is other open world games, for instance Breath of the Wild, Kingdom Come, or even my beloved Phantom Pain, have an open world, but they generally feel pretty empty due to the fact that there's only either combat or dialogue. You don't really do anything with the open world or to it. The open world isn't a thing to be conquered, just the things inside the open world, and those can dry up and feel kinda empty. Now, I'm not saying those games were bad in any way. I feel like Death Stranding's gaming loop is super unique in the open world genre because of the way it feels like it generates its own content and allows you to conquer the open world. Building bridges and laying down track, crossing gaps with a double ladder, and absolutely fucking shredding some Nartar on the coffin board, stumbling across a package and suddenly needing to reroute your delivery logistics in your head. These are all such fun and rewarding challenges. Even getting to a new area feels like an immense challenge. Where other open world games tend to suffer from incredible power creep where the game just gets easier and easier, Death Stranding seems to get harder as the game goes on, but the difficulty almost moves laterally. While you get more tools and options to handle the things you're given, each new area you have to go to usually throws an obstacle at you that you have to solve with the tools you already have, but then after solving it and making a new Cupid connection, you typically get a new tool or traversal item that allows the previous problem to just be a little easier to handle. But then, you can only carry so much, so you can't just bring every tool you have in your arsenal with you. The pre-planning and inventory management in this game is the best I've seen in any game. And inventory management being fun is not a sentence I even want to say. It's never fun, but here it is. Table all that with the immensely confusing and rich storyline, an emphasis on music, unbelievably cool characters and unique designs, and you've got a 7-course meal fit for any self-respecting divorced dad.
Same as it ever was.
Death Stranding 2 is an amazing game, and an even better sequel. It greatly improves on the first one, turns everything Death Stranding had up to 10. It is much stranger, much faster, much more fun to play, and even feels a little more inviting. That being said, I think it misses the dreadful charm that the first one had by a slim, slim margin.
Is that why you called me here? To tell me I got issues?
Kojima seems to have really let loose on the sequel here, and so it doesn't feel as somber, genuine, and sure of itself as the first one did. It's kind of like Metal Gear Solid versus Metal Gear Solid 2. Where Metal Gear Solid 2 was a much, much better game, Kojima kind of let himself be a little silly with it, and a lot of people got turned off by that. Same thing here, Death Stranding 1, super serious, not very many silly moments. Death Stranding 2, super serious, tons of silly moments. So that balance is there. In my opinion, that's not a bad thing, as I definitely laughed and cried more in Death Stranding 2 than I did in Death Stranding 1. I highly recommend this series, and if you haven't played them, start with the first one, get through it, and then play the second one. If you like them, you're gonna love them. If you don't like them, you're probably gonna hate them. I hate to say it. If you hate it, give it another try in like a year or two. You might start liking it. I don't know. This series is really fucking weird. Right off the bat, Death Stranding 2 is a massive improvement over Death Stranding 1. They took everything that was in Death Stranding 1 and added more to it. It's pretty much everything you want out of a sequel. There's dialogue options. It's amazing, right? This isn't an RPG. Why does it have dialogue options? It doesn't need them, but it has them. It tells you so much more about the world, and I love that they put in dialogue options. The stealth gameplay is so much better than in the first one. It feels really close to playing a Metal Gear game. It's awesome. You get a tranquilizer gun like pretty early on. You get a sniper rifle, which wasn't in the first one. You get some really, really cool items to deal with stealth. Some of the items you get that help with stealth, you don't get until way later in the game, when you kind of don't need to use stealth anymore, and even when you stop seeing bandits and stuff that stealth works on. Stealth kind of stops working like halfway through the game, and I think that that's a major weakness. I would have really liked some more interior stealth action, like when you are doing the memory things with Neil. Sneaking through a hospital felt really, really cool, and hiding from mercenaries felt awesome. I would have loved if there was more of that, kind of just naturally in the open world. The whole opening of the game is really vast and open, and while it feels similar to the first one, it doesn't feel exactly like Death Stranding 1. You notice it right off the bat. You're like, okay, this is starting to feel different. And then you hit Ciudad Nudo del Norte, and it feels like coming home to Death Stranding. It feels so good when you first land that first delivery and first open up that panel, and the robots are speaking to you, and the guy through the hologram is telling you what a good job you did delivering. It feels really cool coming back to Death Stranding. The menus and UI are way better, all the information is still there, but where it felt like a little overbearing and cumbersome in the first, it's concise and crunchy in this sequel. The lore implications from the first dream sequence when you first sleep are so monumental. The giant Amelie, there's Sam's abdominal scar, Fragile and Lou meeting you as a hologram. This game has a wild story, and it sets it up, and it tees it off, and it hits. And I really do think that the story in this game lands almost a lot better than the first one. Even though it's a lot crazier, it's a lot more messy at times. I think that it really is a lot more of a treat of a story and character world than the first one was. They fixed how bad driving was. My god, did you play the first one? Holy ass. It was probably the worst driving mechanics I've seen in any game ever. Once you figured it out in the first one, it became a kind of charming. But now it's just, in Death Stranding 2, it's way less frustrating, and all of the charm of how the vehicles work is still there. So it's still charming, but it's not as frustrating. I love it. The map is so much better. What was before like a blue and white flattened top-down view is now a much easier to comprehend and fleshed out, actualized map of the terrain. It's much better. The tiny moments are still there. When the music kicks in, when Sam encourages himself. It's also meta, something Kojima is no stranger to, but as he's aged, it seems his messages have become a lot more positive, and I like that a lot. I really like how they put combat in way earlier. This was something I heard a lot of complaints about from the first one. They didn't give you a weapon until like 4 hours into the first game, and I didn't have a problem with that, but here they give you guns right out of the gate and also tell you to go eliminate BTs very early. The aggressiveness is welcome from a gamer viewpoint, and the overall tone of the game and what it's trying to present doesn't really suffer from it. BT encounters are less annoying and they're more fun. It's hard to pinpoint this because I loved them so much in the first game, but it's just faster. Still intimidating, and it's much more satisfying. Also, sweet, petrified Easter Bunny. The first time you encounter a giant BT is so cool. The Magellan is a true thing to behold. I love it so much, from the way it's designed to the way it moves, the sounds it makes. I love how many weird little MGS references this thing contains. The whole thing looks like Metal Gear Rex's head, and Tarman, the ship's captain, is one gigantic Phantom Pain reference rolled out in several doses. It quickly turned Tarman into one of my favorite Kojima characters of all time, along with his little tar cat. The AI could use some work. It services the function of the overall pacing of the game, but it is clearly breakable and often easily cheesed. And yet, when combat pops off from stealth, it feels really kinda good. Especially if you have a good skeleton equipped and you ditch your bag in a bush somewhere, it really makes you feel like some kind of Solid Snake hobo, relieving yourself of your backpack, which is stuffed full of completely crushed granola bars that were given to you instead of dollars for smokes or ceramics to build roads. It feels really Metal Gear in these moments. Just don't leave your stuff alone for too long. Traversal, man, they made traversal so much more fun, and a lot of people are complaining that it's a lot easier now because you get vehicles so early, but I don't know, just walk somewhere once. Just don't use a car once. Use some of the other things. Use the bike. Use the coffin board. The coffin board is so fucking awesome. It's the greatest traversal item in any game ever. This will never be topped. The earthquakes are super cool, and they can change the environment, like this section here where a quake happened and this weird pillar things, and one of them toppled over. That was awesome. The fact that it gives you a detailed readout of the quake in your menu is a pretty nice touch as well, giving you a readout of what was destroyed in the physical radius of the quake. Super cool detail that didn't need to be this fleshed out, but it really adds something. However, I wish that they happened more frequently. I wish that these weather events were more common, maybe more destructive. So you get to play some Pokemon too, as the giant BTs are now capturable and summonable in future BT fights. Capturing them is a ton of fun. Afterwards you get their BT crystal and you can use the crystals to summon them in battle. I haven't used them all, but the ones I have used have been pretty overpowered. The BT encounters are a teensy bit hard, I found, and this is another area of complaint because they're only kind of hard because of how the game operates. It fits well in my mind because, I mean, how good could a human be against an actual kaiju anyways, but for gameplay reasons, the fights can feel really clunky. The Ghost Mech fights, though, those are an absolute joy to play. They're fast and scary, and they're grounded and challenging. Death Stranding is easily my favorite modern series. I hope we get a third one. It's right up there with Ghost of Tsushima. I'm so excited for the Ghost of Yotei, and I really hope you check these games out. Give them a try. If they seem interesting to you, you're probably going to enjoy them. If it doesn't look like something you'll enjoy, give it a try anyways. You can get the first one for pretty cheap, and that's a great place to start. I'm excited to see how it's remembered in 20, 30 years or so. Cool. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep on keeping on. See you in the next one.